Hello and welcome to the third Next Level Academy Employer Forum. We would like to thank all of you for attending today. Thank you for all for coming and taking time out of your busy schedules to get here. My name is Brianna Smith. I'm going for my associates in business management, and these are my lovely co-hosts.
Good afternoon. Hello, everyone. My name is Marek. I am a student here at Broward College. I also work at Student Life. I am a member of Club Driven and also a member of PTK. I will be graduating this May, so I'm very excited about that.
Awesome.
Thank you. And after that, I'll be pursuing a major in physical therapy and health promotion.
Awesome.
And to introduce our co-host, Sabrina.
Hi, I'm Sabrina. This is my first semester at Broward College. I recently joined an organization on campus called Club Driven also, which has allowed me this opportunity to host it. Furthermore, I would like to speak about Next Level Academy. Next Level Academy is designed to provide essential workforce skills to be successful for new hires. I would also like to briefly go over the agenda. A skit of the do's and don'ts of an interview will be performed by our student actors, and then we will open the floor for questions.
Thank you, Sabrina. Again, we'd like to welcome everyone. We want to thank everyone for coming out. First, I'd like to thank our Next Level Academy advisors and our Career Center advisors, Ms. Schwartz, Ms. Moscoso, all the teachers and the students. Thank you for coming out. But most importantly, I would like to thank all of our employers. Thank you so much for taking your time to come out here and speak with us about the interviews, the do's and don'ts, and giving us real life feedback. It's very much appreciated. Thank you. Let's give them a round of applause. When you guys came in at the front door, everyone was given a survey. If you don't have one, you can pick one up at the back. Please feel free to fill that out, give us some feedback. Any questions that are not answered here today, you can actually reach Ms. Moscoso. Her contact information is on the bottom. And along with the survey, we also handed out critical thinking questions. And the reason we handed out the critical thinking questions is so we want our students to start thinking critically about possible scenarios, about the do's and don'ts. You want to be ready for your job interview. And this will give you like a head start of things that you can think of. So definitely read them over. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. And as mentioned earlier, we will have an open question forum with our employers where everyone present here will be able to ask questions. So please ask questions to our employers to get some feedback. All right? Thank you. Okay. So, at this time, I would just like each and every one of you to introduce yourself. Just state your name, briefly, which company you work for, and what it is that you guys do. Thank you.
I really don't need the mic. My name is Raphael. I work for Randstad. We are a staffing agency. We have different facets of that staffing agency. I'm what's considered an in-house service. So with that in-house service, I have one particular client that I recruit for. I recruit all of their temporary staffing. So it can be from interns all the way to manufacturing employees. We manufacture air conditioned units. So if you've ever heard the company Bosch, B-O-S-C-H, that is my client. I sit on their site and also recruit, but I manage their staff. So I manage their payroll and things like that. So, with me, I've been with Randstad for 3 years. I actually really enjoy my job. It becomes difficult sometimes with unemployment being the way it is, because a lot of times we have people that are looking for a job, but they're not honest with what they're looking for. Okay?
Thank you.
My name is Austin Freeman. I work with the Lead Guard, and the Lead Guard's been in business 23 years. We have about 90 properties, about 500 employees. Our presence here in South Florida has been since 1983, And quite honestly, we consider ourselves the #1 security service company here in South Florida. You have heard of Allied Barton and companies such as that. We actually go head to head with them, but our business predominantly is in the high residential neighborhoods, the 5 stars along Biscayne and Collins, between Las Olas and Brickell. And so our business, a lot of times, if you'll be driving down Collins between Las Olas and Brickell, you'll see these high-rise buildings on the left-hand side between 20 and 40 stories high. We provide them their security. We also have these residential neighborhoods. You'll see yachts parked out on the sidelines, as I call it, in the channels. We provide them security as well. So most of our position in the security industry is in the residential and high-rise neighborhoods. You have other companies like Allied Barton who handle positions in the retail business or the hospital business or that sort of industry. Now, the thing that we are providing right now as far as employment is we're looking for training managers, we're looking for personnel managers and such. Myself, I am a training and new accounts manager. I go and do client relations between the client and the company. I also do the training of the employees that come on board. Our security officers have a presence. So the biggest paradigm in the security business is all about how you look, how you present yourself, and are you confident in your duties as you move forward. The difference between a security guard and a security officer is quite simple. As we say in the security industry, a security guard likes to fall asleep. The security officer presents a presence. So if you're considering a career in law enforcement, loss prevention, or security industry, either in management or in employment training, because some of you myself like to speak in front of groups, you will be like training personnel. You're recruiting, as she said, recruiting is kind of like in the real estate business, it's location. If you do not provide your clients with the best possible security services, which is the individuals in presenting themselves as a public relations or a courtesy for a front. When you come in the front door, you want to be greeted with a smile, a hello, and a handshake. Presence is everything. Not only in the security business, but any business in South Florida. South Florida is the service industry 101. You can go anywhere else in the country, but between South Florida and the California coastline, those 2 areas are predominantly service industry. So it doesn't matter whether you're in the hospitality industry, in the entertainment industry, in the security industry, or in the real estate business. It's all service, and presence is key.
Thank you very much.
My name is Kevin Jones. I am the regional internship coordinator for the FDOT. I run an internship program for the FDOT from Miami to Tampa. And I pretty much oversee the hiring, onboarding, selecting, recruiting of interns, mainly for the FDOT, as well as recruit for full-time positions in Miami and Fort Lauderdale also. That's it.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Doris McMahon, go Irish. So I'm here with David representing National Executive Service Corps. We're a little bit different type of organization in such that we're not doing full-time recruiting. Maybe if you all take about 30 years and come back and see us, we would recruit you, because the team that makes up National Executive Service Corps, which was started by David Rockefeller many years ago, is a group of volunteers that have been senior executives in various facets of all occupations and that have worked in the biggest industries. And what we do is we give pro bono work to the nonprofits here in South Florida. Nonprofits, like any organization, just like a business, they have the same business problems, accounting problems, business process, branding, marketing, advertising, you name it. They've got the same core dysfunction that you would find in a commercial business. What we offer to them is our expertise under proposal and contract and we do the work for them at much smaller margins than what they would get with a regular commercial firm. So what we're looking for today is anybody who doesn't like the brick and mortar. You don't want to sit in a cubicle. You don't want to sit in an office, because we don't have one of those. I can't even offer them to you. But what we do have is more like the Silicon Valley. We're virtual reality. We're looking for somebody that likes to do data mining, because we want to tap into grants that are out there being offered by foundations and other organizations that we think would be a match for our organization to compete into. So this is more of a grant researcher. But the benefit of not having a place that you have to go to is you've got a core group of many, many professionals, whether they be HR, whether they be CPAs, whether they be advertisers, marketing, branding, that can actually coach you in your personal pursuit. And so we offer more of the softer side of the skills versus the hardcore building.
Thank you very much.
And I'm going to skip the mic also. Hi, I'm Delia Baker, and I'm with the City of Pompano Beach, but I'm with a specific agency for the city, which is the Community Redevelopment Agency. It's typically called the CRA. That's what most people know us as. And what our role is to eliminate slum and blight. So we serve some of the underserved areas in the City of Pompano Beach. And one of the ways we do that is we created a job placement center, which is supposed to be in addition to all the different resources out there. So it's in addition to your career source for all, it's in addition to your placement center here at the college. It's just to try and provide one additional source of matching job seekers and employers, and also providing some workforce development. So we look and see what's missing in the community, and we source those. For instance, right now we're doing a Turner School of Construction Management training, because we find that a lot of people who might know how to put the nail in the wall, but might not know how to run a project or how to go out and bid a project. So we're doing a 3-month training program for that, and it's free. And everything we do is free. What might be a match for you here is most of our local employers are aware of us, and they can list their open positions with us, with the city. And we have job seekers register with us also, and we try to make matches between them. So as employers list their positions, we post those on our website, and we also go through our list of job seekers and see where their matches. So I generally don't have a lot of open positions just sitting there, because as they come in, I am going through job seekers and making the matches. So I brought with me today some registration forms if you want to register to use this as an additional source. And because this is a forum to guide you into the workforce, I also brought some of our do's and don'ts. We have an orientation training workshop on the first Wednesday of every month, where we go over some of the do's and don'ts of interviewing. And everything that's on the sheet is based on responses that we've gotten from employers. Like little pet peeves, like not answering your cell phone while you're in an interview. A lot of people my age might know that, but a lot of younger people might think that's appropriate. So I have some of those on this, so when you're at the end of this, you can browse. And if you have any questions for me, I'm open.
Thank you very much. Let's give them a round of
Wonderful.
applause.
Speaking about do's and don'ts of an interview, we actually have some student actors here. We have a 2-part skit. So the first part is going to be what not to do at an interview. We all know some do's and don'ts, of course. But now we get to see it acted out.
you. I see that you applied for the administrative office position assistant. Can you tell us why does that interest you?
I mean, like, if I were to be honest, honesty is what you guys like, right? That's a nice one. Where you got that wash from? What? Well, like, I was online, and then, like, it looked pretty easy, I was like, why not apply for it, because, it's not hard to just put on a nice suit and, talk to people. I've been doing that my whole life. So, like, this position didn't look like anything, So I was like, all right, whatever. I need the extra cash.
So, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, like, people tell me I'm awesome, So, it's pretty much all I need. Like, I'm good at sports, music, I sing a little, I dabble in singing a little, I'm artistic, I'm, very artistic, what I mean? Like, in the kitchen, like, in bed, everywhere.
Okay, a little too personal. Why should I hire you?
Let me ask you a question. Why should you why shouldn't you hire me? I mean, like, you guys are missing out because, your company can really, I'm a little thirsty. Yeah, like, your company is like, you guys would really like having me, Because, like, since I was little, I was little at home. I got a Coca-Cola, please. I got it. Alright. I'm really good at everything. Like, it's not hard. I went to Harvard once. I mean, I didn't attend there, but I went on campus. And, like, I went into the classroom and I was learning a little bit, but then it got boring because, I was too smart for them. So I just walked out. And then I was in college at one point, but then I was like, who needs college? They just sit you in a classroom and give you homework. Like, that's not how you make money.
Actually, Pautana Duma, you're not supposed to eat in here, sir. It's not just the sweets all over the table, but
You can't eat that.
yeah, you're not supposed to be eating that in here. Just put that away. Thank you. Yeah. All right, phone. Okay, can we continue with your interview, please?
Do you mind if we take a selfie? Because my cousin...
I'll sell the for.
No, thank you. No, I don't want to. Thank you, I'm good. No, I'm good. Are you a team player?
I just offered you some of my food. I'm pretty sure, like, that already shows I'm a team player. Right? Even though you rejected it. And, like, since, like, I was young, I was all-star of the baseball, soccer, international, Chinese, Cantonese, Italian, Jamaican club. Yeah.
So, why exactly do you want to work here?
So, I was ordering some Chinese online, right? And then I saw an advertisement. I was like, damn, I won't have any tip money. So I was like, next time in the future, I need some money. So I was like, this job looks pretty easy. I mean, so what, you guys are like #1 in like your county and all that. It's not really hard. Like, I could take your job. It's not hard to just sit there and like talk to people like that. Like, wear a nice suit. I'm sure if I had a job, I'll be able to, have a nice suit or something. Where you reaching for my food?
Last question. What can you bring value to, how can you bring value to this company?
That's simple. Okay, so like growing up, like I always added value everywhere I went because I'm awesome. And Like, you guys need me. Like, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna fax you guys. Alright, my work schedule, so you guys can work around that. Because like, I'm a busy guy. I'm an entrepreneur, you know? So like, you guys have to work me. Because like, I feel like this is only one way. Like, you guys, calm down. All right, I feel like this is only one way. Like, you guys give me a work schedule. You guys expect me to come here. One night, you guys don't know if it's my son's birthday party on that day. So like, I need to text you all of my birthdays that I need to attend to, my club days, my partying days, my drinking days, and my Netflix days, so you guys can work around them.
Okay, well, thank you. Yes, thank you.
We'll give you a call. We'll be in touch.
All right, let's give them a round of applause.
Round of applause.
Here's a round of applause. It's not for the interview itself. Okay, so what does everyone think? What do you guys think? No,
Think you did a
right?
job?
Absolutely not.
I don't think so either.
We exaggerated a lot in this interview. We wanted to show you guys a lot of the don'ts, because a lot of our students, especially first-time interviewers, you go in, you don't know what to expect, so you don't know. Like coming in late, being on the phone, no eye contact, getting too personal, talking way too much about things that are not even relevant. Absolutely don'ts. How many of you think he's going to even get a call back? Probably a lawsuit, a restraining order. So that's why we wanted to show you guys, so you know the don'ts during the interview. But our forum today is focusing on the do's. We want to focus on the do's. We'll have another skit later on where we're going to show you all the do's. But right now, we want to open up our part of the forum with questions to all of our employers. So at this moment, any students, you guys are welcome to ask any questions regarding interviews, resumes, skills. Feel free to ask. It's open forum. Does anyone have a question? Yes, sir.
What did I miss?
All right, so this is a Next Level Academy event that we're hosting here. We invited employers to come and guide us through the interview process for our students. We're going to be going over do's and don'ts during the interview. You just witnessed the first part of it, obviously, which is don'ts, everything you don't want to do. And now, since we have everyone here gathered, we want to ask questions, interview questions, and we want to get some real-life feedback so that we can prepare our students for workforce.
I can give you some feedback on what we just witnessed right there. As an employer, your time is limited and you really are pretty stingy with your time. If a candidate came in and presented themselves even halfway like that, I would have ended the interview within 1 minute. They would have been gone. So it wouldn't have even carried out to this extent. And I realize this was over-exaggeration. But unless a prospective employee comes in, and unless they're prepared, they're walked out the door. And that's just the nature of today's competition, in today's world. You've got to come prepared, you've got to come professional. But he would have been out within 1 minute. Actually, he probably wouldn't have even been escorted in, because I'm sure the receptionist would have had some comments and kind of put up the block right there. But that's just a real life that I had when I witnessed that.
Thank you.
So, for myself, I recruit actually career source, different schools, technical schools. So I see from one range to another, executive to manufacturing or skilled workers. And what I can tell you is some of those things actually happen to me. I actually have people that will tell me that, oh, your job seems pretty good. I think I could do your job. How do I get your job? I see email addresses that are not appropriate, and that's just one-on-one. I see the pants down, the talking too much. What you're doing is selling yourself. For me, I have to make a judgment in less than 2 minutes. So when you come, as you're coming in, you have to be prepared. You have to be ready. If you want this job, you have to know it, own it, and act like you want this job. You don't know where you might start. I have a lot of talent that come to me. They may start in manufacturing, but you know what? They made such an impression on me. I know that they're going to school, and I automatically refer them to human resources for an internship. They actually make almost double what they would make coming into me. So you have to understand that, you know, that first person, that first impression that you make is critical. Don't go into it thinking, I'm just getting this job just so I can make some money, because you never know where you may end up.
Thank you very much. Does anyone else have a question? Short.
I have a question for the panel. Is it appropriate during your first interview, after you've sent in your resume and you've gotten that first interview, is it appropriate to talk about and try and negotiate salary?
My response to that is, don't bring up the question of money until it's introduced by the interviewer. But should they not bring it up, ask about compensation. That seemed to be a nicer word, a more acceptable term. So as something like, what kinds of compensation go along with this position? So that opens up all different kinds, time off, sick time, pay, everything in one question, without you mentioning how much does this job pay. Because people are offended by that term itself. But you also don't want to go home not knowing how much it pays.
That's right.
So if it's not brought up, ask about compensation.
And another suggestion I have is that do your research before you show up at the interview. Because look for the advertisement, there should be clues in there as to the compensation value. If it's not in there, do your market research. Go into, I think it's Glass Ceiling, there's a couple of websites, Glassdoor, that will tell you the range. So understand what the range is and get reasonable with yourself. And again, I agree, don't bring up compensation, because that looks like your motivation is only money, and we know that's not why you're there. It's there to learn, to grow, to practice your craft. So that should be, if it's brought up, the last thing. But do your research, and you may want to tailor your question like, well, are you all paying the general compensation of, you know, what's for this type of position? You may want to start phrasing it a little bit more gentler.
In the security industry, it's pretty much, we're on an hourly basis, so we're going to let you know up front, vis-a-vis, either you're going to find it on Craigslist, on ZipRecruiter, or Career Builder, or wherever our ads may come to you, even by word of mouth, you will know in the security industry what the company is going to pay. Now, that being said, as the rest of the panel was saying, compensation for other types of companies, you don't ask right off the bat. However, as she was saying, the glass door is one particular instance, but it doesn't matter what industry you're going into. What you want to try to do to set yourself apart is, let's say that you're going for an advertising executive position, junior executive, okay? You coming in with, say, 2 or 3 internships, just graduated within the past 6 months. You want to look sharp for this advertising position, but what you want to do is, if you can find out who is interviewing you, or if you can't find out who's interviewing you, what the company is about. So either one, if you can find out the individuals who are doing the interview, the advertising company, or if you cannot, if you find out who the company is that you're going to interview with, and you have, say, 3 companies in the advertising business that you're targeting that you would like to work with, research those companies online. Go and hang out. And when I say hang out, we're talking coffee shops, local areas where these individuals might have lunch in the general area. And maybe sit in for a couple hours around noon and kind of observe and listen to some of the executives that are having lunch around this area. Because sometimes by listening, you can pick up conversation where they're talking about what type of corporate setting that they have in their company. So you can kind of, and I know that sounds outside the box, but in this industry, the way things are now, in South Florida, we're living in a pie wedge. So to set yourself apart, you have to do your research. You have to do your homework. You have to be prepared. And so when you go into that interview, whatever industry that you are in here in South Florida, you have to set yourself apart and be an individual within a team concept. So when you walk into that interview, you're able to tell them something about their company that even they don't know by being prepared. And when they hit you with a question, you can say yes. Well, and then you hit them with a leading question where it kind of takes them and they're like, this person's actually prepared for the interview. So let me be the first to tell you, I'm not corporate, I'm blue collar, but I'm in a corporate role. But I will tell you this, if I'm going for an interview at an advertising firm, I'm going to be prepared, not only physically, but also mentally and socially. And when I say socially, you're taking sociology, you're taking anthropology, you're taking psychology. Utilize those core classes to accentuate your majors. Because those classes that you think may not be worth anything, excuse my language for being off the cuff here, but damn it, those are important. Because when you hit that ground running out there on the street, that corporate type is going to expect you got to get past that tie. And if you can't get past that tie in that suit, or even, excuse my language, but with regards to federal jobs, and of course, municipal jobs and above, you have to type in that resume and know those pro words. You can't get past that computer that looks at those resumes. You don't even get interviews half the time these days, unless you're going to the brick and mortar businesses like an advertising firm, a public relations firm, in a hospital, but you got to get through either that gateway of, as you're saying, the receptionist, or that online resource that you have to enter in your application. So that is what your generation faces, which our generation didn't. 10, 15, 20 years ago, it was about walking in and in a suit, in a tie. In South Florida, certain things like finance companies, engineering companies, suit. Most everybody else, like this gentleman here with a tie and a dress shirt, looking sharp. But that's the difference. That's the difference between not trying to be conservative, not trying to be individual, but being a person that, as a woman or a man in 2016, setting themselves apart, doing your homework. Because as I said, this is a pie wedge in South Florida. If you're going to live here and you're going to make a lucrative dollar in this industry, whatever industry you decide to stride into, and make your skills known, you have to be prepared mentally and physically.
Okay, thank you. That was very interesting. You guys made a lot of good points.
Good afternoon, everyone. When we solicit feedback about how our students are performing on the job subsequent to graduating, one of the biggest critiques we get is their inability to write in a coherent and articulate way. And I was wondering if you could expound on the need for that, please. Thank you.
So for myself, the resume is going to be that first piece of information that I see that introduces you. I've seen a lot of different formats. There's no specific format that I like or don't like, but that's going to be key. Misspelled words, adjectives, the different things that are in it, it makes no cohesive sense. So please, I understand that a lot of times we type or write the way we speak, but give it to somebody else or walk away from it and have fresh eyes on it the next day before you submit it. Because I know that for a lot of the supervisors, managers that I submit these resumes to, and I don't like to edit other people's work, so I'm just going to submit it the way you submitted it to me. So please, just check it over, have a teacher check it, have a parent. I mean, it's really totally up to you, but please make sure that it makes sense, because sometimes you, in your mind, you said something, but you didn't write it or you didn't type it. And about the social media, guys, use LinkedIn. LinkedIn is really, really key, even for myself. I didn't meet my boss until I had already gotten my job. I talked to him over the phone. My interview was over the phone. And LinkedIn was really key, because that's something that we use. And salary.com, because it gives you the entry, the median, and the high end of salary.
I often tell students to, first and foremost, before you submit an application form, whether to me at FDOT or to any company, go to your career services department. They are your first-hand point of contact for assistance, for guidance. And I tell this to any campus. This week so far, I've been at 3 universities, 3 college and university in 3 different cities, Miami, Lakeland, and I'm here today. 3 different events, and I say the same thing. Go to your career services department for help. They will help you with the resume preparation, the interview preparation, and they should be your first source of assistance. And I can tell, I've interviewed students from different universities, and when I see the resume, whether it's electronic, it's emailed in, and I decide, yes, I'm going to see this person. No, I'm not going to waste my time. Because just by the preparation of the resume, that says a lot. Is that unfair? It is unfair, because I don't know personality. But if your resume does not stand out, or it's not attractive enough, or it doesn't say who you are, then that phone call is not coming. So your first and foremost point of contact should be your career services department. And I can swear by any university I go to, if you guys go, and one of my current interns right now in my accounting office is a Broad College student. We knew from day one, yes, I'll hire her. And that intern right now, she's being pushed into a full-time position, not even 2 months in her internship from here. So everything was on point. The application form was on point. The resume was on point. The interview, she was eloquent, dressed professionally, blew us out of the park. I know that there are people like her are available, and it's there. But you have to go to your career services department for assistance for any positions you're applying for, whether it's an internship or a full-time position. They are your key assistants.
Thank you.
I agree with that too, and a word of caution. They say that the eyes are the window to the soul. Well, the resume is the window to who you are. Now, I agree with everything he says. Make sure that resume is yours. If you offload it or subcontract it to somebody to write it, and it turns out that your writing is not proficient, that will come back to haunt you. So make sure what you're delivering is yours. And if you don't feel like you have the skill, if you've been using Twitter so much and you can't do anything above 144 characters, go back and start practicing, kids, because honestly, I don't care what occupation you're in, you've got to write, and you've got to write clear, concise, declarative sentences. And if you don't, you will be busted out of your first job, because your boss is going to say, why do I have this person here? I have to redo everything. And that frustration will end up kind of a horror story for you. So all I'm saying is a word of wise. Just practice it. You'll get the skill up to where you should be. Don't do false advertising. Don't get somebody else to write it and then you submit it in, because you don't want that haunting to come back to you where you can't really put down declarative sentences or a concise concept for your employer, because that will blow you out of the water.
Thank you.
The other thing is, the resume should reflect who you really are. Exaggeration is very dangerous, because all of us have seen hundreds of resumes. We have a lot of experience, and we pretty well see through things. So be careful what you put on there. Secondly, make sure it's yours, it's you, as much as you can. When you go to the interview and I see a resume, I'm going to potentially ask you about any line there. You should already in your mind have a story that's coherent, that you've sort of like scripted in your mind of how you're going to explain this point. Oh, I saw you did an internship at this institution. What did you learn? So you should already have thought about exactly how I want to get that across. What did I learn succinctly? I learned this, it was a great experience. I did this, that, that. Quickly, 2 or 3 sentences so that there's a story there, so you're prepared on that basis. I have to leave in a few minutes, but I think there's 2 kinds of interviewers. There's the cookie cutter interviewer, where they're looking for a specific person, they're looking for specific characteristics, and they're going to hire and fire, and that's the way it's going to go. And there's people like the people at this table who you can tell just by the way they're answering this, they really care. There's a lot of people that really care. And they may not have a job for you in this particular instance, but if they see that you really have the character and the desire and the discipline, they will try to help you. Or they'll try to find somebody that will help you. So don't give up.
We have one more. Thank you.
I just want to reiterate what everyone here has said before, is that you just want to be honest. Because you do not want a job you're not qualified for. If it's something you believe you can learn, you can indicate that, but you do not want to have a resume that does not reflect you and who you are. So just be honest with your resume and grow from there.
Thank you. Thank you very much. One more question from our student.
I have a question. How many of you have smartphones? How many of you text? How many of you talk to a friend for more than 10 minutes, face to face? Now, you see how many hands I saw there, right? Social interaction is key. Communicate with one another, face to face. Because this thing, notice I have a huge phone, but I also have a 5-year-old little girl. So, it's for her, okay? Okay, so, you have a big phone walking around. I see a lot of people with big phones. That's fine. Maybe there's a reason you have a big phone. I just told you my reason of why I have a big phone. Plus, I talk to a lot of people and do a lot of interviews, so I have to be mobile. However, in order to be legible, don't count on spell check. If you don't know what the word is, look it up. Read a book once a week, or read at least a chapter in a book. I'm talking paper book. If you don't want to read a book, then at least read 3 articles in newspapers or different books that you have absolutely nothing to do with, don't know anything about real estate, landscaping, architecture, and write 3 sentences about what you read. Because what that will do is that gives you perspectives. You want to build out, not build in, but build out the complexity of who you are. So that when you're building that resume, you're building out, and you're not being inclusive. You're setting it up to where, again, being different, being individual, but representing yourself.
Thank you.
All right. How you doing? My name is Jeffrey. I just have one question for you guys. Now, you guys clearly explained to us about applying for a job is to get a good resume, a good cover letter, present yourself well. If, with all the companies up here, can you share, do any of you look at the financial background of any intern or any employee that you hired, and if so, why?
I work for the federal government, actually, foreign relations. that was a different thing, that was a security. So you had to have a security level. So if you're going to any type of job where it has on the application, security required, then they will look into, generally, you go through the application process. Maybe you get in for the interview, they interview you, and then there's a suspension of time, and at that point they say, we're going to run the security background check on you. And that's when the government agency will run the background security, and that's the only time that I know when you're going for a secure job. Maybe if you went into a banking industry, they would want to look at, your file. But generally, it's from the time you've gone to the interview and the employer and you are pretty much aligned and they want to hire you, that's when they'll say, okay, we have to hold up for a little bit. We're going to start running some background security. Is there? And at that point, please, kids, if they say, is there anything, you've got to fill out the paperwork, is there anything you want to tell us? Please disclose it. Don't wait for them to find it. If you disclose it, you've got the opportunity to explain it. That goes much further, much further. So that's the only time that I know in an employer position where they're going to want the security on your financials or anything on your background.
That's the same for us too, as a state agency, even for interns. Once we decide that you're going to be the candidate, there's a normally 2-week gap afterwards that we do a background check in-house, and that's number done across the board just to make sure. Do not rely on an application because we'll find out. Last month, February, January, I think I had an intern who did not disclose that they were working part-time as on campus. We need to know. The applicant clearly asked for that, are you working at all? And because it's a state system, the university system is a state system, we found out that, yes, they're working. The phone call was not a pretty one. Why didn't you disclose this? What else on the application that they did not disclose? So, yes, in the interview, definitely, is there anything else? It may be an issue, it may not be an issue, but it could deter you from moving forward. And so it won't be a yes until after that time, after the interview, that I think it may vary from company to company. As a state agency, once we select the candidate, we'll then do the background check and that all information. Some information, your financial credit is not really important. It's just more primarily whether you work in a state system as well as your personal background information.
I'll give you, go ahead.
For Randstad, we run a standard background check. We do felony checks. I financially, for myself, I have a corporate card. So yes, in that instance, yes, because I'm charging based on travel and things of that nature. So of course they want to know, where I am credit-wise. But the disclosure piece is key because our risk department, once we run our background checks, they're going to ask, did this person disclose this information? If you did not, I can't move forward with you. If you did, then of course there's a possibility at that point that I can move forward. They will tell me, if this person disclosed this information, move forward. If they did not, you can't. So it's going to be key, to be honest.
I'm going to give you a scenario. We do credit checks in the security industry. We do a driver's license check. We do a workers' compensation check, and we do a criminal background check. You referred to a credit check. I'm going to give you a scenario. We had a gentleman that had been deployed overseas, been in the military about 15 years, highly seasoned security professional. He was going for a company that is basically the civilian version of the Secret Service. These are the guys that guard celebrities and politicians on the outside, contracted security professionals. They are certified in executive protection, which is what that is known as. This gentleman came home after having been deployed to Afghanistan for a year. his wife, who became his ex-wife, spent all the money that he had made overseas with 2 children. He came home to nothing. This gentleman then had a credit record that initially was probably 700-800, was really good. When he came home, it was in the toilet because his ex-wife did not pay his bills. Well, when he went to apply for that job with that company, they do a background check. Federals always do credit checks. But this particular company, which is a civilian company, because they protect high-end individuals, did a credit check. They did not hire him because of his credit background. Now, what he did, which he told me about later, which he didn't reveal, was he didn't tell them why he had bad credit. The actual thing was is that he applied before he even realized he had bad credit. So if he had known that, the way that he could go get around that credit check is if you know that that agency or that civilian company is going to hire you and you know they're going to do a credit check and your credit is bad, but you have a situation similar to this individual because he was deployed and had no way of controlling that credit from 1,500 miles away across the seas in a combat situation. You tell them, this is why this credit situation happened. I had no control over it. If you have a reason that your credit is bad and you can explain to them, they're going to hire you based on both you revealing it and letting them understand that you are not a risk to their company or agency. So I hope that answers your question.
It does. It does. Thank you for going around it, because I was going to ask you the next question. If it do come up like that, how do you get around it? Because a lot of young students or, your age, they go to work. And some companies, they don't hire you because of one situation. You have the degree, you have the potentials, you have everything. Your resume stands out. But then you get a letter saying that you can hire you. Okay, why not? They want to disclose saying based on whatever, but we're not informed about it. Because I got denied for a few jobs. That's why I asked that question.
I'll be brutally honest with you. If it is your fault for the bad credit, you got to suck it up and try to get that credit done, clear, by paying off those bad debts in a certain amount of time going by, because that's how it is. But if you have bad credit because of something like that situation, and there's other situations like that, that prevented you from being able to be in a scenario where you can control your credit situation because of that, then that is a difference maker with that company. They're going to go, okay, you know what? We're going to make an exception for this individual because we understand what kind of scenario he was under and how this happened to him.
So definitely disclose it up
Yes,
front.
absolutely.
And tell them what you're doing and fix it.
As this lovely lady said earlier, honesty and integrity is always going to be key when you're presenting yourself in an interview.
Right, and also, to go along with that, when you disclose it, you have to explain how you're resolving it. Because that shows the employer you're taking responsibility and you're accountable for your actions. So even if you got into a bad situation because you just were out of control for a couple of years, if you say, this is what I'm doing, then they understand, because nobody is faultless, everybody goes in there with flaws, but they understand that you're owning it, you're taking care of it. That sells you. That is really big for employers. If you go in and just say, I don't know what happened, I don't know why that credit card company keeps on doing that, it means you're ready to put the blame somewhere else, and they don't want that in their company, because it's going to come back to haunt them. So remember, add the resolution of what you're doing to correct whatever it is that they found.
Thank you.
Manning up or womaning up creates trust and responsibility, and that's what they're looking for.
That on the application, there's a short part, particular part to explain it. So where would you inform us apply? Is it in the cover letter? Is it in the resume? Or where in the application would we have?
That's a good question.
It's in the disclosure.
Yeah,
There's a
there's
disclosure.
a section of the application, there's always a line that says, if
you've been convicted or if you have something like that, if you have anything to disclose, there's always a very short 2 lines that says so in there on most applications. Yeah.
You don't get convicted if you answer this, explain here.
Right.
It says nothing about if you have like any type of financial history that.
But that's a particular case. Sometimes you can, you know, that's just one case. There's 10 different scenarios that you could get rejected for a job for, or no response for. So that's a unique situation. However, when that happens, if there's nothing there or no space for that particular situation, leave it alone. Depending on the institution, a bank may have it, we may not, because it's not critical to what jobs we may offer. So it varies company to company.
And I'm leaning towards what he's saying. If it's not on the application, don't volunteer it. You can ask during the interview if you believe it's something that it might, right. Ask is when they say, do you have any questions for us? Do you typically do a credit check for this position?
Yeah.
And then do a credit
Don't start volunteering a new line.
Exactly.
Yeah. Don't put it in your cover letter. I write cover letters.
No, definitely don't put it in your
Where
cover
people
letter.
are going on, I'm thinking, oh my God, this person has problems. I mean, your cover letter is just supposed to be light and lofty and, you know, I'm a great, don't start bringing up your problems in the cover letter, because that's going to go over to the reject pile.
If that company does a credit check, they're gonna have a credit disclosure in there.
Yeah.
Even the question of felony, where it says on the application, and the City of Pompano Beach, by the way, have discontinued that on our applications for the city.
Thank you.
And we're hoping that a lot of our employers will follow suit. But for the applications that you do have it on, where they ask a question about, have you ever been convicted of a crime other than a traffic violation? I suggest that if you've been convicted of a felony or a crime other than a traffic violation, you say yes. But where it says please explain, do not explain. Right? We'll explain during interview.
Thank you
During
very
the
much.
interview, you can say something like, I've made some mistakes in my past. I'm looking for an opportunity to prove that to you. And don't get into what it is. Now if they press.
Great questions, and a lot of great answers. Thank you very much, but unfortunately we are limited on time. So at this moment, we're going to move on to our next skit. So you get to witness. Go ahead, Rihanna.
So earlier, we all saw that travesty that happened. The terrible interview. It was really bad, right? But now we move on to part 2 of our skits, what to do at an interview.
This one might work.
Thank you.
I see that you applied for the administrative office assistant position. Why did that interest you?
Well, I believe that I would have a lot to offer to the integrity of this organization because in my current college, I'm pursuing a field in business administration, and I love speaking with people, interacting, and getting their words across. Because most people feel like because they're not really a part of an organization, their voice won't be heard, and that's what I love incorporating.
Why should I hire you?
Well, at my university college, Broward College, I am currently a part of PTK, and I'm a secretary, and I'm a really timely person, and I love interacting. I love being creative and giving new ideas, so that we can come together on one mindset, and so that we can get the job done efficiently.
So, one of the major things we value here is integrity. Have you ever been in a situation where you were faced with making a decision of what's right and what your peers want you to do?
Very good question. Well, at my last job that I worked at, there was some fraudulent activity going on between two of my friends and some of other people. And at first, I was debating whether or not I should report them because I grew up with these people. And ultimately, I had to come to the realization that though they're my friends, there was a line between what's right and wrong. So I had to report them to my supervisor.
Well, thank you, Mr. McHugh, and we'll keep in touch.
All right. Thank you.
Good afternoon, you guys. Thank you for attending this forum. As we saw in the second skit, it is extremely important to maintain eye contact when you're being interviewed, to make sure that you have a firm handshake so that they know that you're serious about the job. It's also important to be yourself. You know, the most important part about being interviewed is letting somebody see that that's you, and to be real about yourself. And not to get too personal. No selfies, no food, no cell phone, just you and the boss or whoever's interviewing you. And also to remember to maintain proper posture when you're being interviewed so that they see that you're serious about the job. And thank you.
Great job.
Okay, can I just add just a little thing that I learned about handshake and eye contact that all my life I did not know. We had a series called Business Etiquette for the city, and the facilitator, when she came in, she said, you know how everyone tells you, make sure you have a firm handshake, but no one ever taught you how to have a firm handshake. Right. And what she suggests is that to make sure the claws of your hands connect. So when you're shaking someone's hand, you go all the way in and then shake their hand. So it should feel like a hug. And for eye contact, instead of looking directly in someone's eyes, like see how I'm looking at him? And then after a while it feels like you're staring, so you kind of have to look away. Form a triangle between the eyes and look there instead of in the eyes. So it looks like you're paying attention without staring.
So what you're saying is look at their forehead and nose.
Right in here, just form a triangle between the eyes and look there and focus there.
I've also heard the trick of looking at the person's tip of their nose because it gives the illusion that I'm looking in your eyes, and that's another tip.
Don't forget to complete the survey that we passed out. You can return it to one of the hosts, or you can place it in the red box in the back.
And one of the last things we want to speak to you about is the Career Center. It's in building 46, the admissions building upstairs. And they sure need help building resumes, tips, mock interviews, I'm sorry. And we have staff here that can help you, whether you want to, you have a resume and you want to build it up, or you don't have one, you don't know how to make one. People will be glad to help you out, avoid making decisions like you saw the play, so you know. Yeah.
Thank you, Eddie. And also, grab one of these when you walk out if you already don't have one, the critical thinking questions. We encourage everyone to read through them, and if you have any questions at all, there's the contact information on the survey, so you can contact our Career Center, Ms. Moscoso. Okay?
Once again, we would love to thank everybody for attending. We would love to thank our lovely employers for taking time out of their busy days to get here. And of course, we want to thank our advisors, the Career Center advisors, Next Level Academy advisors, and of course, all of the students who decided to join us today. Thank you guys for coming.
Hold on one more second. Before we let everyone go, we're going to ask one more question. So we're actually going to ask you one of the critical thinking questions that we have. It's scenario 1, so if you guys want to read along. A lab assistant was supervising a child when the child suffered an injury by falling. On the day of the incident, the lab school assistant supervisor was not informed, even though the assistant was trained on how to handle the incident. Report out and file an incident report. None of this was done on the day of the incident. The following day, the lab school assistant comes to work and informs the supervisor of what happened. What should happen next?
So, we were discussing this scenario. There are a a lot of additional questions that we have for myself. Being a part of the emergency response at my client's site, it's an immediate investigation. I'm not going to browbeat my assistant before I do the investigation and finish the investigation, because that's the important piece, is knowing what happened, how it happened, when it happened, and what was the end result, and what did they do, because I have no idea what they did. But after that, I'm going to get with my assistant and find out where, because there's a disconnect. There's a breakdown in what you were trained on and what happened. So just based on that, it may be that there is a hole in our system. It could be. But I need to know what we need to do going forward, because this is unacceptable and it can't happen again. So that's what it would be for me.
For our particular things in the security industry, law enforcement, loss prevention, the rule of thumb is observe and report. And as she said, an investigation, we would have a similar type of investigation, but the individual that did not do the report, or report to their supervisor immediately, would get pulled in and not yelled at, but discuss what happened. Where was the letdown? You were trained. Obviously, we don't know what type of injury the child sustained. Maybe they scraped their leg. We don't know. Maybe they took care of it. It doesn't say whether they actually took care of it, but the supervisor doesn't know. It's so critical that it's almost at the point that this is a fireable offense. So, being that I don't have those two criteria in this actual scenario, that's a two-edged sword on what would actually happen. But it would definitely be a pull-in and discuss of what happened and why this individual did not respond to their supervisor as they should have.
Thank you. Thank you. And that will conclude our questions for today. And one more time, we want to thank everyone for coming out. We want to thank our students, our advisors, our Career Center advisors, Ms. Schwartz, Ms. Moscoso, thank you for coming. And Dr. Moore, thank you for being here as well. And personally, the responses today were very, very informative. I hope everyone here learned a lot today. I know I did. I'm going to take a lot from this. So thank you very much for taking your time, coming out here.